My name is Emily. I never thought of myself as remarkable. I lived in a small apartment on the corner of Maple Street. I worked a regular job, came home late most nights, and told myself my life was ordinary, safe, predictable. But sometimes I felt something was wrong. There were moments when the back of my neck prickled, like someone was watching me. Walking home from work, I would hear footsteps echoing just far enough behind me. When I unlocked my door, I sometimes felt eyes pressing against my back. I laughed it off, told myself I was imagining things. But deep down, unease grew in me like a sickness. I started to notice him, always in the background, the same man standing on the sidewalk when I left for work, a figure at the edge of the park when I walked home, a shadow leaning under the streetlight across from my building, never close enough to confront, never gone long enough to ignore. One evening it happened. I was carrying groceries up the front steps. My keys slipped from my hand, clattering to the ground. I bent down, flustered, and when I stood up, he was there. A man in a plain jacket, holding the door open for me. His eyes lingered a little too long. His smile was too thin, too knowing. "Evening," he said. His voice was calm, almost polite. I froze. For a moment I couldn't breathe. My instincts screamed at me, but I forced a nod, forced a smile, and walked past him into the building. My heart pounded in my chest as I locked my door behind me. I told myself it was nothing, just a neighbour, just a stranger. But deep down I knew. It was him, the one who had been watching. That night I could not sleep. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust against the window, made me jump. I swore I heard something in the hallway, a faint click, almost like the sound of a camera shutter. And then everything ended. I don't remember how it began. The memory comes in flashes, the sound of my door creaking, a hand against my mouth, the drag of footsteps across the floor. I tried to scream, but the sound died in my throat. The world went black. That was the last moment I existed as I knew myself.
My name is Daniel. I had been watching her for 2 years. Not once did she notice me. It started small. A photo across the street, her walking home with groceries, her fumbling for her keys at night. I told myself it was harmless, just fascination. But fascination turned into obsession. I took more photos, hundreds, thousands, every smile, every shadow, her window open on hot nights, my walls filled with her face, photos stacked in boxes. She was my secret, my collection. I knew her routine better than anyone, better than she knew herself. Then she was gone. One morning she did not leave for work. I waited across the street, camera ready. But she never came. That night her window stayed dark. The next day the same, and then the posters went up. Missing person, her name, her photo. The neighborhood whispered and the police came. They asked everyone questions. They came to me. The detective said, "You were the last to see her." The words cut deep because it was true. I had been there, always watching, waiting, but not like they thought. In my apartment, the evidence waited. 2 years of her life, captured in secret. The police wanted answers, and I had them. My photos showed everything, her streets, her home, her shadows. And in the corners of those photos, I saw something I'd missed. A shape behind her, a figure in the parking lot, a hand reaching in the window. Something that was not me. I held the shoebox full of pictures. My hands shook. If I give them to the police, they will know what I am. They will see the walls covered in her life. They will see the truth, that I was always there. If I keep them hidden, she may never be found. The detectives waited. I stayed silent. My heart echoed like the shutter of my camera. Snap, snap, snap. The sound would never leave me. And I wondered if someone else had been watching her too, someone darker than me. And I realized maybe I was never the only one. The camera shutter clicks once more. Darkness.
I survived. I don't remember how I stayed alive that night, dragged into the darkness of my own apartment, but I did, and I waited. 2 long years. I rebuilt myself in silence, learning everything I could about him. Daniel, the man who thought he could own me with his camera, his walls of obsession, his thousands of photographs. He thought I was gone. He thought he had won. I studied him, carefully, patiently. I learned his routines, his habits, the sound of his keys in the lock, the path he walked home from work, the cafes he lingered in. I became what he had been to me all those years, an invisible presence in the shadows. I watched him day after day, noting the subtle things that made him careless, the way he left his apartment door unlocked for a moment, the way he always checked his collection of photos before bed. I was ready. I approached him in disguise, a plain jacket, baggy clothes, cap pulled low, my hair hidden. I looked nothing like the Emily he had known, nothing like the woman he had tried to capture in every photograph. I became a man, a neighbour, a stranger, the perfect shadow. He did not suspect me. He did not see me coming. I followed him one night as he returned to his apartment, walking confidently, oblivious. I watched him unlock the door, step inside, and begin his nightly ritual of scanning his walls of obsession. The thousands of photographs, pinned and taped, every snapshot of me over the years. He had no idea I had survived, that I had grown patient, careful, strong, that I had become the hunter. I slipped inside silently. He was unaware until it was too late. I made a small noise, just enough. His head jerked toward me. His eyes widened, fear, disbelief. "Who are you?" he whispered, voice cracking. "Your pictures," I said, calm. "I'm alive." "And I'm done being your prey." I moved quickly. The blade in my hand was cold, precise. He stumbled backward, his hands raised, but I was faster. The camera he always carried fell to the floor with a clatter. Snap, snap, snap. His obsession, his proof of me scattering across the room. Snap, snap, snap. It ended in moments, too quickly for him to comprehend. His body crumpled to the floor, and silence filled the apartment. I stood over him, breathing steadily, feeling the calm of vengeance finally settle into my chest. I looked down at the fallen man, the predator, the collector of my life. Then I removed the cap. The jacket slipped from my shoulders. My hair fell free. My disguise dropped away. He had never known it was me. Not until the end. I was free, finally free, and he would never watch me again. The night outside was quiet. Shadows held their breath, and for the first time in years, I was no longer the hunted. I was the hunter.